Hello, and welcome to episode 102 of the Core Advantage podcast. Special guest, me, James, filling in for Durham today.
Durham is pretty much as we speak getting a root canal, I believe, inside the next hour. So good luck, Durham. Hopefully it goes well. But James is joining us today, and we're going to do a much delayed part 2 of our talk about supplements.
Yeah. Part 1 was good.
What did we cover last time? We covered fish oil.
Vitamin D.
Yep, which go together. They're both really important for joint health, brain function, nervous system, testosterone, things like that.
Yep. I'm blanking on the third. It was important though.
It was very important, definitely, without a doubt. I think it was magnesium.
Yep, that's one.
Which is a nervous system and a muscle relaxant.
Yeah.
Helps me with my sleep. I have a teaspoon before bed every night of powder. Yep. It knocks me out like a light.
Really good electrolyte, really important for recovery, sleep, the whole lot.
Yep. And the nervous system really relies heavily on magnesium. And diets as a whole are pretty deficient in it. It's a pretty low down one in intakes because it comes from soil and because of monocropping where you grow wheat on the same piece of land.
Big issue.
Every single year. It sucks all the nutrients out and the soil doesn't have a chance to replenish and regenerate. So it then doesn't get sucked up by the plants and doesn't reach our food in our mouths.
So people think that why do we need a supplement?
Yeah.
Like our ancestors didn't need a supplement to get a healthy diet. And it's because of reasons like that. Yep. There's more stresses. Their diets are different. Supplement part 2, I think, is an important episode.
And at its core, supplements, everyone's like, supplements and drugs and capsules and powders and things like that. They're really just broken down parts of food. Like fish oil is just, they take a fish and they squeeze it into capsules and they squeeze out the oil. Not literally, but they take the oil out of salmon and things like that and they put it into capsules and then you have it. So protein powder is a classic example of, I shouldn't have protein powder because it's not natural or it's not this and that. Protein powder is just a part of milk. Just like butter is taken from milk and cheese is extracted from milk. Whey, like curds and whey, like the old nursery rhyme. Whey is just the high density protein part of milk. They take that out, they turn it into a powder, they give it some preservatives and some anti-caking agents so it doesn't clump up and go all gross and festery in the tub. And then we consume it.
Go from there. Yeah.
A little bit of vanilla or chocolate for flavor.
Key word is still supplement. Like you always want to try and get this stuff in your diet. But if you know you are deficient in something, depending on the diet you're eating, if you're vegan, vegetarian, things like that, you know you're going to be deficient in things. Or if you just don't
like red meat. Some people struggle to eat it.
Then you can use the supplements to help out the diet. And especially athletes, they're asking so much from their bodies day to day. Supplements, any supplements that can help in recovery and boosting performance is just a huge bonus.
In saying all of that, you should definitely consult your doctor.
Absolutely.
Or a trained and qualified dietitian or nutritionist. We are not nutritionists here at Core Advantage.
Nope.
We dabble in it. We do a little bit of it. Some of us have done some of it at uni, so we are familiar in the territory, but it's not our place to prescribe or give dosage or stuff like that. This is just an informative episode. It's really not us saying you need to take this many milligrams or anything like that, but think of this as informational educational. And then you can use this information to maybe go to GP, go to nutrition, say, hey, I heard that magnesium's good. Would that help me? Or these guys said that collagen powder is good for athletes and joints. What do you think? And then you can have that discussion from there.
Use this as a sort of platform to sort of do further research and
start thinking about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about today?
Well, I had 3 in mind. I had BCAAs, branched chain amino acids. You mentioned you want to talk about collagen powder. Which is a big one that Durham does a lot. Do you take it?
Yeah, I have it in my protein shake.
Nice. Collagen powder. And then the third one, which I think we should kick off with, which is a very important topic, is caffeine.
Yes, big one, and especially in the lifting community.
It's not just lifting, endurance sports as well. Massive in runners.
Taking a dose of caffeine up to an hour before you need a lift or run or anything like that. Really good sort of performance benefits in terms of endurance and fat burning. That's what I've heard. Yeah,
really awesome. So I suppose we should go back to where you actually get caffeine. Caffeine is the number one most commonly taken drug in the world. Coffee, tea, Red Bulls, things like that. Caffeine is naturally found in the coffee bean and in tea leaves as well. So it is a mental stimulant. It wakes up the brain. It's a fat oxidizer. So it helps our body and boosts our metabolism to help us oxidize fat through our mitochondria. And it has a massive, whether it's a placebo effect or not, it has this massive effect on improving cognition, improving alertness and sharpness, and staving off sleepiness.
Yeah, well, absolutely, and that's the thing that most people use it for a lift. It's like, oh, I've got to go into the gym, I've got to lift.
Need a little pick me up.
Get me a coffee and I'll smash through the gym. Yeah, absolutely. And so I think people were using it for that for quite a while, but then these benefits in fat oxidation came around. So it's actually quite a good supplement for performance.
Yeah. Dosages are quite high when you look in the research compared to what you find in the standard cup of coffee. So they talk about hundreds of milligrams, like 200 plus milligrams.
The research is done with caffeine pills.
Yeah.
They don't actually make the participants drink the coffee because it's too much caffeine to just sit there and drink it all.
Because the big problem with things like Coke, coffee, and tea is they're also a diuretic.
Yeah.
So if you're training in heat or like playing a big game or, playing a long or attending a hard, long session of training, the dehydration and the diuretic effect of the coffee or the tea or whatever it might be can actually reverse the benefits of the caffeine.
Yeah.
So while you might be mentally aroused and burning all this extra fat and feeling good, you get to the fourth quarter and you're been to the bathroom at halftime, been to the bathroom at three-quarter time, and you get to the end of the game and you'll be dehydrated. So the negatives will outweigh it.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's something to be mindful of, especially the more immune you are to caffeine, which is a big point to talk about.
Caffeine tolerance, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, everyone will know this. I don't personally drink coffee, so I've never experienced
You're not a coffee drinker?
Never had coffee. Yeah, I have tea. We have a cup of tea nearly every day. Yeah. But those that drink coffee know that the more you drink it, the less it does for you, and the more you have to drink.
And this is the same with all stimulant type things, so illicit drugs as well. So your body is very good at adapting to things. So if you change from a high fat diet to a high carb diet, your body will adjust its ratios of what it's burning. And if you go the other way, so if you cut out sugar, the first 3 days will be hell. Your brain will be like, give me sugar. You'll have headaches. You'll be all feeling not great. But then your body adapts and goes, okay, I can get around this high fat, low GI, more fiber in my diet, and adjusts to what we give it. So specific adaptations to impose demand is what they call it, the SAID principle. Yep. And so with tolerance, with things like caffeine, when you become tolerant to a substance, effectively your body becomes so good at processing and dealing with the caffeine that you actually don't get the kick that you used to get from it. And so, first time you ever have coffee, you're bouncing off the walls, you're going crazy. And then by about day 4, so 4 days of consecutive caffeine consumption, you're pretty much flatlining. The effect for fat oxidation, for mental alertness, for taking away sleepiness, it's actually just all it is it's a habitual thing. And you go, my day doesn't start without my coffee. Yeah. And it's like by that stage, actually, all that's happening is the placebo psychological effect of I need my coffee to get me up. I've had it. And the taste for me, so I drink coffee. I try not to have it every day, but I probably have 3 a week, maybe 2 to 3 a week. And I sort of have it more as a treat because I actually quite like the taste as well. I love a latte. But by having it less often, you actually get a bit of a boost out of it. Yeah. And so when you're having it every single day, or in some scary cases, multiple times a day, you're effectively just bringing yourself back to normal. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not just the coffee, it's the Red Bull and stuff like that. It's like, I'll have a Red Bull before I train, but then you need 2 and then it's not doing anything and you're feeling, you've got no energy.
Which leads perfectly into the next one, which is the negative side effects of caffeine.
Yeah.
It is highly individual how people respond to caffeine. Yep. Are you a responder at all?
No, well, I wouldn't know.
You've just got your baseline of 1 cup of tea.
Yeah. Everybody's like, I'm happy with that. Yeah.
I'm a pretty good responder.
Yeah.
My body seems to do well on caffeine. So I had on a day of our triathlon.
Yep. Caffeine beforehand.
7 months ago now, I had a long black, just like instant coffee before I went. Yep. And I was feeling, and I hadn't had one for 2 weeks before deliberately. So I deliberately weaned myself off caffeine, had a long black on the day, and because of that, I was feeling amped up.
Very common with endurance events is to deload the caffeine for a couple of weeks beforehand and then have that hit. And
it works beautifully for endurance and repeat efforts, like things like triathlons, because there's no skill component.
Yeah.
So if on the day I'm a little, shaky and a little jittery from nerves and from the caffeine as well, it's not going to affect my performance too much. Whereas if I was a basketballer or a golfer who had to go play 36 rounds in 2 days, you might get the improved alertness immediately, but the jittery effect that can have on some people and that sort of anxiety effect, because it does elevate blood pressure as well.
It lends itself well to those endurance events. And I mean, the main function for the endurance events is the more you can oxidize fat, the more you're saving muscle glycogen, and the longer you'll be able to go for.
Yeah, and also there's the placebo cognitive effect that you feel more alert, you feel switched on from, which I definitely think I got on race day when we had that way back then.
There you go.
One thing with taking caffeine, it is a vasoconstrictor. I believe. So
Yep.
it constricts your
Increases blood pressure.
which increases your blood
Yeah.
pressure, which will give you feelings of anxiety.
Yep.
So if you're already pretty tense about sport, caffeine is not for
No.
you. It'll have a negative effect on performance for you. And the other thing is caffeine levels in coffee and tea vary so much by the ripeness and freshness of the beans, how they're ground, how they're pressed, how they're filtered, that you can go from pretty much decaf in a normal coffee all the way up to like double a normal dose in just a regular or large coffee.
There's no reliable dosage.
Yeah,
which is why the researchers use the caffeine pills instead.
Yeah, so I wouldn't recommend team sport or skill sport athletes use it.
Nope.
And for your endurance and strength sport athletes, I would talk to a dietitian before you do it, because it's one that, and definitely do not try it on race day.
No, yeah.
Don't
try anything new on race day.
I'd experimented a couple of times by doing a week off caffeine and then trying it on a longer run on a Sunday, and do my long session on Sunday with a cup of coffee and see how it went, and it worked quite well for me.
Yeah.
So I knew what I was going in for on that race day. But if you don't,
well, your body's experiencing new things it hasn't ever before, and then you're asking it to perform.
talk to a dietitian, talk to someone trained in this area, and then get a plan suitable to your size, your weight, your body fat mass, all those things.
Yeah,
important.
Absolutely. That's good. Caffeine.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's an important one. Let's move on.
Collagen powder.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I first heard about it, I want to say a year and a half ago.
Yeah. I feel like Durham when you start talking about that.
Yeah. Things like bone broth have been popular for a long time, which is a really good delivery system for the collagen powder. Collagen to start with.
I was going to say, let's go a little bit of background and talk about what collagen is first.
Collagen makes up to 35% of all the protein in your body. It's your muscles, your ligaments, your tendons, your skin. It's a very important building block.
Yeah, and so when we talk about what's in the body, if you're pie charting it, most of us is water.
Yep.
The vast majority of our weight is just water, which is why hydration is so important. And second by mass is protein.
Yeah.
And of that protein, a third of it is collagen, which is just a type of protein. Like you've got muscle protein, you've got bone protein, you've got collagen protein. Yeah. Just a class.
Where I think athletes could benefit from taking collagen supplements.
Before we talk about supplements, what does collagen do for us, James?
The collagen it's just a building block. So through daily wear and tear, we're sort of causing breakdown in all of these tissues, all of these proteins around the body, and the body then needs collagen to build that back up. But if it's deficient or there's chronic stress or inflammation, things like that can get in the way
of that specific process. Like chain of protein amino acids.
Yeah. Think of it like, back to the amino acids, and we'll talk about this when we get to the BCAAs. An amino acid is basically like the letter in the sentence, and then the protein is the sentence.
Yeah. So each amino acid is a letter or a word that builds up.
Yeah. And then the body uses those words to build things like you make your blood and
the essay that is life.
Yeah. So it's just all part of that whole building process that your body, and it can be wear and tear from old age. It can be wear and tear from performance, lifting weights, running, the whole lot.
Too many Ks, too many jump shots, whatever it might be. Yeah. What is collagen in the body though? What is it?
As in where?
Where does it work? Yeah.
Where does it work? Well, it will work just about everywhere. Yeah. Sort of just building I'd just say that wear and tear. The big thing would be cartilage and joints.
It's primarily joints, though, isn't it? Joints and tendons. Yeah. So our tendons are made up of, I want to say 80% collagen. Yeah. Something ridiculous. Very high in collagen levels. Cartilage, you mentioned. So cartilage and ligaments as well. So collagen powder is particularly a joint and a tendon health thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
really.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
How does it work?
Well, the cool thing and the thing that first got me onto it was some research studies where they gave participants collagen and they sort of...
in like a powder. It's like a powder, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just and put a teaspoon of it in with your protein.
Stir it in and drink it up. Yeah. They radioactively labeled sort of the peptides in the collagen powder, and they could trace where it went throughout the body. And they found that over this sort of long-term study that it was the body was long term storing it in the joints,
right?
In its full form. So it wasn't digesting and then going throughout the body. It was going in its full form into the joints and being stored there.
So they tagged the protein that they had. They then gave to the participants. They consumed it, and it actually. Like they literally could go and then do the nuclear scan of the body and go, there is those collagen fibers.
This is where it's building up.
There's that nuclear, and it's happening in the patella tendon. It's happening in the ankle joint.
And I mean, how many athletes we have that have joint issues, and how many athletes we have that are strong, that move well, but have tendon issues. So with that bone, it interacts with the muscle.
Particularly as athletes get older into their 20s and onwards. Sports like basketball and netball and volleyball, we spend a lot of time pounding on the hardwood. That's a lot of ground reaction force going through those knees and through those ankle joints. You might not notice it now when you're 16.
No, it's a long-term one.
I remember I was 16 that everything felt great all the time. Yeah. Play a 6-game tournament, could go again the next day. Right? Now you ask me to play 6 games, I'm like, do I have 6 months to do it? Or how long do I have to play them in?
So I think the benefit...
It doesn't take long for your body, those processes to slow down.
No, not at all.
So a little bit of insurance.
Yeah. And if you can have that backup, the big benefits, having that backup. So when your body does need to, you do have that tournament, or you are older and you still want to be pushing, your body has that backup, that storage, which it can use to sort of rebuild and repair all that wear and tear.
Yeah. Also, everyone just wants to feel awesome all the time, I imagine.
Yeah.
So, a little teaspoon of this every day in your protein shake or in a smoothie or as part of your oats doesn't go that hard. Yeah. Do you want to talk about how Durham takes his? Because I experimented with your collagen powder, the same one you used a while ago, and it worked great.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about how Durham does his though?
He does a bone broth, which basically you take a bunch of bones, you put them in the pot, and you boil them. And at the end result is the bones, and the bones have all holes through them, and so all of that has sort of diffused out. All of the sort of the goodness from the bones diffused out into that broth.
Because bones by weight are significant. Like the majority of bone is not calcium; it's actually protein. Yeah. And of that protein, like the rest of the body, it's predominantly collagen.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're getting a host of other things, but collagen is the main one. But that diffuses out into the broth, and then you drink it like a tea. You heat it up and you drink it. It is an acquired taste. I had it for a while. You do get used to it. You do get used to it,
doesn't it?
Yeah. It's just like a meaty hot drink. It is,
but you can get it. You can buy it as like a crystallized powder, or pre bone broth,
and
then turn it into a powder.
I throw that into my smoothie each morning, and that
you have you have a meaty smoothie.
No. I throw the collagen powder.
You have the hydrolysed stuff. There's two types. There's the bone broth, which is kind of yellowy, looks like raw sugar.
Yep.
And then you put that in hot water, and it dissolves and kind of tastes beefy. And then there's just stuff that looks like effectively just a white powder.
Yeah.
It looks like BCAAs.
I don't taste it at all. Yeah. And that would be my recommendation. Unless you want to go all out with the bone broth, go for your life. Has a bunch of other benefits as well, the bone broth.
I put collagen in the same category I put fish oil. It's like you're not going to notice an instant kick like you would with creatine or caffeine or anything like that.
Yep.
But what you'll do is it's just like it'll accumulate and just you'll look back 12 months and go, hey, my knees have not been hurting anywhere near as much as that. Or I haven't missed a run in 12 months or whatever it might be. You haven't had a niggle or a tight calf or a sore Achilles or anything like that. So from that long-term wear and tear point of view, collagen seems, and it's pretty early days for the research like that.
It is, yeah.
That nuclear study is pretty cool. But I think more and more we'll see things like fish oil and that will show up when they do these longer term, like 12 months, 24 months, 36 months type studies start showing their results.
I'm waiting for that longitudinal study where they're sort of tracking people into their 60s and 70s and seeing how their joints are holding up. The last piece on the collagen is it's a really good anti-inflammatory as well, which is really important. So it's made up of, one of the components is glycine.
Is that a type of collagen or is that a different molecule?
It's one of the molecules that makes up collagen. So it's like
if you break collagen down further.
Yeah. It is.
Glycine is an amino acid too, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And it's a powerful anti-inflammatory. So there's limited research on that. But it could be possible if stuff comes out in the future that there's an anti-inflammatory effect of collagen.
That's really cool. So not only is it helping you build up your collagen tissue, but it's also stopping the degradation via inflammation. So
creating an environment where you can repair and recover.
So it's pro-win and it's also anti-loss.
Yeah. So watch this space on collagen. I think there'll be a bunch of research coming out in the future.
Nice one.
Yeah.
All right, third one. BCAAs.
Yes.
BCAAs stands for branched chain amino acid. Like we talked about with this nice ordering we've done here, like we talked about before, amino acids are the building blocks of proteins. Proteins then make muscle, bone, tendon, and body effectively.
Yeah.
So BCAAs are just a form, and the branched chain is just talking about their chemical structure and the way they're set up, the form of amino acid. So it's effectively if milk contains protein and contains whey, and then whey contains amino acids, they've just extracted the amino acids even further. So it's another step of separation. It's another step of specification of the elements. So
with your amino acids, just quickly, you've got your essential amino acids.
There's 9 essential, and those you have to consume from the diet. So you must.
Your body can't make them.
Yeah, you have to consume them. If you go long enough without them, your body will start folding in on itself.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
in extreme cases, you'll die.
Yeah.
That's extreme
Yep.
starvation type stuff. But yeah.
And so the BCAAs, they are all essential?
Yes, so you've got 3. Leucine is the key one. We'll get back to that in a second.
Mm-hmm.
Valine or valine, Valine,
Yep.
I believe that's pronounced.
Yep.
And the third one is isoleucine. So those 3 are all essential amino acids.
Yep.
The big one, though, is leucine.
Yeah. Yeah. Links with mTOR.
Yeah, mTOR, which is another
It's a whole nother episode, mTOR.
This is getting a little sciencey here.
Yeah.
mTOR is an enzyme. Enzymes are proteins,
Mm-hmm.
but enzymes, instead of being structural, and so instead of being Lego building blocks,
Yeah.
they're like the tools that allow us to do the things.
Yeah.
So enzymes are like lock and key. They're like channels. They help push things in certain directions. So an enzyme will help. Enzyme, for example, turns glucose into energy, into ATP.
Yeah.
So in this case, mTOR is an enzyme which, when triggered via resistance training or via recovery and via like high calorie diet, so if you're aiming to gain weight, mTOR will get triggered, and it then helps promote hypertrophy. So growth, or not always growth, but sometimes just repair of muscle tissue.
Yeah, and that's one component of what it does. That's all we'll stay on today, but it does a whole bunch of other things.
Stuff. But mTOR is really cool. So mTOR is kind of your grow and strength and power type pathway.
Yeah.
While the flip side is AMPK. That's the pathway that is more endurance type 1 type adaptations.
Yeah, it's your strength training and your endurance training.
And that's effectively how training works in the muscles. So the muscles, like that's why if you're a basketball or volleyball or high power athlete, doing long, slow running is not a good idea, because you'll trigger that AMPK pathway, not that mTOR pathway. So you might be fit as a fiddle, but your vertical will go down, and your speed will drop, and your agility and your power will be lost.
You can't use both pathways at the same time efficiently.
Yeah, you can get a balance and get a bit of both.
Yeah.
But depending on your sport, you want to shift towards a certain side.
One,
so if you're a marathoner, you want to be as much AMPK as possible.
Yeah.
If you're a powerlifter, you should be all mTOR.
Yeah.
But if you're basketball, volleyball is a good example. Tennis, that's more on the mTOR end of things.
Yep.
If you're football or soccer, you're probably kind of right in the middle, where you need that good burst of speed, that change of direction, the ability to tackle and explode. But also, the game goes for 2 hours. Like, you got to be out there for a long time on your legs.
Yeah. So back to leucine.
So that's mTOR and AMPK. That's your pathways. And so leucine, which is one of the the main building block of BCAAs, that is the main trigger.
Yeah.
For
because mTOR is just part of a pathway.
Yeah, and leucine kind of turns it on, if you will.
Yeah, yeah. And it's building muscle and it's recovery as well. So do you take BCAAs?
I don't currently, because I don't think I'm training hard enough. My training is I do shorter sessions at the moment, just shorter in, out, get it done, so I don't dig as big of a hole. So my supercompensation graph is a little shallower at the moment. But I have in the past, and athletes will commonly take them during workouts. So kind of if you have a really fast metabolism, sipping on some BCAAs before, during, or after workout is a really good way of sort of just keeping your body in grow mode. Yeah. So you don't dig too big of a hole.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, as soon as you start working out, you're creating muscle damage, and then you can trigger that pathway. So you don't just want to take it after your workout. You want to have some in the system while you're going. Yeah.
So some, and the thing with BCAAs is the science would suggest, and if you look at the research, it suggests they're actually pretty neutral for their effect. Like they don't really improve muscle growth or anything like that. But I think, like everything we talked about today, or like the collagen, not like everything, sorry, just like the collagen we talked about earlier, it's kind of a long-term effect. So absolutely. BCAAs, while alone they may not help improve your muscle mass by X kilos in this many months, I think it's more just like, it's like a stopgap for accelerated recovery and then triggering that grow and repair pathway as quickly as possible. The other cool thing about BCAAs, the other thing, before I say that, leucine itself, leucine is actually found in most foods. So meat has leucine, eggs have leucine, nuts contain leucine. So these, so BCAAs don't have exclusive rights to the leucine amino acid. You can get it from other places. Yeah. But what's nice about it is you can get it in BCAAs where it's very isolated.
High absorption rate.
Rate. It's very isolated, so you're not worrying about extra calories. Yeah. Usually they're, like if you have protein powder, for example, it's quite milky in flavor. Whereas this is kind of, they usually flavor them kind of fruity, like Powerade type things, but they're low in calories. So if you're not trying to gain weight, really good for sports in weight divisions. If your aim is to maintain your current weight, BCAAs are a great way of allowing you to recover, but not worrying about surplus calories and gaining too much muscle mass if that is a concern. Yeah,
the way I like to think of it is your body needs these resources, needs these amino acids to to build things. Like your body wants to build a car, and one amino acid is a wheel, and one amino acid is is the chassis and the steering wheel and all bits and pieces. You need all of these in the body. So when your body does need to sort of create that protein synthesis pathway and push that muscle building, it's got everything there.
Yeah.
And it's an environment that is conducive to building muscle and maintaining muscle.
And in this situation, leucine is like the whole frame.
Yeah.
It is like the doors and the roof and the panels.
Yeah.
It's
really big building block and really important for that sort of protein synthesis.
Yeah. Scientifically, from a protein synthesis point of view, they reckon 5 grams is kind of the sweet spot for leucine that you need either during or post workout. Any more than that, you don't get an extra effect, and any less, you're kind of still on the way up. So 5 is the sweet spot for most people.
Yep.
So you can get that with about 10 grams of BCAAs, which is a scoop and a half or 2 scoops. Most BCAAs, they have different blends and different things they're advertising, but most of them have what's called a 4-2-2 ratio. So 4 parts leucine, 2 parts valine, and 2 parts isoleucine.
Yeah.
But protein powder itself, so 30 grams of protein, you'll get about 4 to 5 grams of leucine in a normal scoop of normal protein powder. So that's like, you don't have to go BCAAs if you don't choose, and you can just get it out of.
If you want to make sure you've got those, you want to make sure that your protein powder has leucine in it.
Which is why whey is so good compared to things like the vegetarian options, like vegan options rather, like pea and hemp protein. Don't always have leucine. Sometimes they add it afterwards, and some of them do. But you always want to check the leucine content, because that's kind of the driver, the big trigger.
Yeah. That's good. That's supplements part 2.
I think that's it for today. So we covered caffeine. Definitely talk to a dietitian or a doctor before you start that. Everyone has individual things. Some people get really twitchy and anxious, so be careful there. But once you've experimented, once you've talked to a health professional, then you can go from there. Collagen is just great insurance for your joints and your tendons. Beautiful. And then BCAAs. They're just really fancy extracted proteins in a lot of ways. Scientifically, they're unproven right now, but I think for weight class athletes, they're particularly valuable to allow them to get that recovery benefit of leucine without the calories of a high calorie protein powder. But also just for athletes on the go, if you've got time between meals, quickly scoop those in, good way to start the morning. You can have them before bed as well, as a good way of sort of accelerating your recovery overnight.
Easy and accessible, for athletes on the go.
They're a little more expensive than protein. That would be my one caveat to that.
Yeah. Perfect.
Nice. See you guys next time.